Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to obviously be talking about beginner plants. So, beginner plants. And I am specifically talking to those of you who have whatever the opposite of a green thumb is and don't believe that you can care for another living plant. Well, you can, and today I'm going to teach you how. Because there are some very specific steps that I think can help everyone have a little bit more greenery in their life. So today I have my buddy Camille over here and we're gonna do this video together. Now, hold on. If you are not subscribed yet, please click the subscribe button down below, as well as the notification bell, the like button or dislike button if you really feel that strongly, and leave me a comment about what future videos you wanna see. But with that being said, I am here today to help you stop killing your plants. So let's just get straight on into this. So obviously, for most people, the first step for them buying a plant is actually being in the nursery, not like a baby nursery, but in a plant nursery and picking out the plant, or maybe it's like some big box store. I don't know. Anyway, you're picking out a plant at some store and you want to bring it home. Now, if you see a plant that looks nice to you, don't just pick the first plant that you see. So if you are at the store and ready to pick out your plant, or maybe spontaneously looking to pick out your plant, either way, you're going to want to make sure that your plant looks healthy. Because just as a beginner, it is not a good idea to start rescuing plants. It's just not going to work out. It's going to be very discouraging, and what we don't need is people getting discouraged from the plant community. So what you really want is just a healthy looking plant that you can start off with. So what exactly does the plant look like? Well, I'm going to show you two different plants, and I'm going to show you which one I wouldn't buy if I were you. So here, I don't think it was in frame before, but this is a Hoya carnosa Crimson Queen. Very pretty plant. It has nice looking leaves. If you were to look closer, you would see it has good soil. It's in a nice grow pot. This is just a cover pot, but it's in a nice grow pot that has drainage. You find an angle that I can see through, and you can see that there's new growth forming. Just overall, this plant looks healthy, perky, like no weird looking leaves, okay? So just use your instincts. If there's a leaf that's just giving you sketchy vibes, don't go for it. If it looks super droopy, if it looks brown, if it looks like it has things crawling on it, don't pick it out, okay? Trust your instincts. Even if you don't think you have any plant instincts, you probably do. However, you're not always going to find a super healthy looking plant, as an example. And I did choose to buy this, so this was my fault if something goes wrong, I guess. And this is a Dieffenbachia Memoria Curcii, and it's not doing too hot. And this isn't because of me. I got this not too long ago from a nursery. And the reason why I decided to buy this was because I really liked this specific plant variety. It was the only one that they had there. But under other circumstances, I would not buy a plant that looks like this. Now, what exactly is going wrong? You can see that it looks like there's some mineral burn going on from maybe too hard water with maybe some chlorine in it. You can tell that it's lost quite a few leaves. I don't know if you can see that right there. And then obviously kind of the blatant one is, it looks like it lost two leaves over here. However, even with this, you can still tell that it's a healthy base of a plant. You can see that it has new leaves replacing the old ones, which is always a good sign. And if you were to lift this plant up, you would see that the root system is relatively healthy. So again, picking a healthy plant is always going to be your best option, especially if you just don't know what you're doing. Now, this kind of gets me into my second point, and that is pests. As a beginner plant owner, you do not want to be dealing with pests. If you get down the line and you have 10 plants, 20 plants, 100 plants, you are not going to be able to avoid the pests. They will find their way to your plants. But in the beginning, you are going to want to pick a plant that is not going to give you all that stress. Check the leaves out. Look under the leaves, look on top of the leaves. Is there any fine webbing? Is there any fluffy looking bugs on it? Is there anything flying from your soil? So it's really just inspecting the plant out. And if you see something suspicious looking, just look up some common house plant pests and see if the bug that you're looking at looks kind of similar to it. Tip number 3 is actually picking a plant for your skill set. So even though you might really love the look of, say, a fiddle leaf fig, If you are a beginner, I would not suggest picking something that you know is just going to be difficult. That is difficult for people who have owned plants for a long time. Most likely, the best thing that you can do is pick plants for your skill set. And this is of two things. First, you're probably going to be picking a beginner plant, and this is no shade to your plant skills. It's just the truth that it's good to start out with beginner plants, or else you're just gonna get frustrated. And the second thing is that you can also pick plants for the problems that you've had in the past. If you are, for example, a chronic overwaterer, you are not going to be good with something like a Hoya that needs to dry out. However, you might make best friends with a peace lily. They might love you for that. So it's just knowing what things that you do that could be bad for some plants that will be good for other plants, and then matching you up. Same thing if you just always forget to water. I haven't watered this thing in like 2 months. Now, I'll probably water it like once, and then I'll wait like another 3 months, especially during winter. Just know what plants are gonna work for your habits. And then, as you get experience with those plants, you will learn to alter those habits for other plants that you might aesthetically like better. An example of this would be this heartleaf philodendron, and it's a vining plant. Now, these guys produce leaves like nobody's business. You could neglect this plant, and they're going to still give you so much love with their new growth. So it's just about picking a plant that's really going to reward you without you having to do quite that much or stress over it. I'm just putting plants onto this tray next to me. It's filling up fast. Now, number 4, I alluded to this earlier, but again, watering can be the #1 cause of death to your houseplants. If it's underwatering or overwatering, that's generally where people go wrong, because plants can last a little bit in lighting conditions that aren't that great, but if you are just not meeting their water requirements, they're just in the grave, 2 seconds flat. Not that quickly. Some are more forgiving. But what I am saying is that plants generally prefer it when you know how to properly water them. And this does not mean, again, watering them every day, watering them every 2 seconds. It simply means being able to understand their signals and cues for, hey, I want water. And if this really confuses you, get a plant that tells you. Having vocal plants can be very helpful. So let me just start with this polka dot plant. And it's similar to Photonias, which are the nerve plants. So these guys will tell you when they need water. They will flatten out. This one isn't doing it right now, but I can tell you that they will let you know when you need water. And these types of vocal plants can be great for people who don't have a watering schedule yet, or don't really understand when you're supposed to water certain plants and how much. You just water it whenever they look droopy. So it's just good to know that a lot of your plants will show you signs. They'll get droopy, they'll get wrinkly in the case of things like Hoyas when they need that water. And that can be great to know for beginner plant owners, just so they don't overwater the plant and cause root rot. I feel like I've barricaded myself in with all these plants, oh my gosh. The last step that I feel like could greatly help beginner plant owners is actually propagating your plants. Now, I remember when I first got into plants, I thought this was kind of overwhelming, because the idea of cutting off a piece of your plant and then somehow growing a whole second plant from it, a little daunting to say the least, but most of the time it's way easier than you might think it is. And the good thing about this for beginner plant owners is that it means if you screw up on the first plant that you bought, you have a backup plant, a backup mini plant that you've propagated. So it saves you some of that stress that if you end up killing the first plant, which could be a possibility, you have a couple more tries from the propagations that you have. Just as some examples, here I have a Monstera cutting propagating. Right now, it isn't doing anything because I just put it in here. We'll have to see, but if it does start growing roots, then I'll have a second Monstera baby, just in case something bad happens to my larger one, which hopefully won't happen. Here I have this golden pothos cutting, which I have to tell you, if you're looking for one plant to buy as a beginner who doesn't know anything, buy a pothos, okay? But this is a pothos propagation that I'm doing, and you can see all those lovely roots. So just fascinating how nature works. And also here is a spider plant baby that is also growing roots. So this is just a good backup plan for beginners. Something horrible happens to your plant, at least you propagated it, so a little section of it will remain alive. So again, I hope you enjoyed this video and liked learning about a few tips that you can use if you are a beginner plant owner, because everyone starts somewhere. Everyone has to learn more about plants before they actually start surviving in your home. So it's good to have a few tips just to help you along the way. Again, if you like this video, please subscribe. It really helps the channel out. Click the notification bell and comment about if you want a video about certain plant varieties that I feel are best for beginners. With that being said, you guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you all next time. Bye. I can't even describe to you. I literally have surrounded myself with plants. I'm trapped.